Hey folks, it's Jim. Just want to do a video on what I think is a really serious unknown variable that could possibly be in many groups, or it could be you yourself. And that is what I'm calling the tethered pecker. People who are constantly on their digital device. We're all surrounded by them. We see them in restaurants. We see them everywhere. You yourself may be one. I have spent a considerable effort to ensure that I do not become one and have not become one. My cell phone sits on the counter on silent, and then I pick it up and I look and I return calls in a specific time each day, as we once did. If you're 50, 60, or 70, you remember people didn't call you during dinner and you made phone calls after dinner, didn't you? That was socialization time via the telephone and other things. But we didn't spend all day connected to these devices, which then leads to a dopamine response, changes brain chemistry, doesn't it? There's a lot of studies to show this. And then now you have these people in possibly your group dynamics, or you yourself might be one. And what's going to happen when the device goes away? Well, they've shown there are some people who have severe emotional meltdowns, anxiety, depression, and even violence when these devices are removed, don't they? So now we're expected to get in a group dynamic during SHTF-WROL, already under a lot of stress, and all of a sudden, what's going to happen? You may have these people expecting them to have your back in a critical situation, and they're having a literal emotional meltdown or mental breakdown, right? Due to several addictive processes they weren't even aware of. And possibly that's even you, right? Are you aware that this could be going on with yourself? Now, obviously we have the dopamine problem, right? Just from the overuse of the digital device. But then we have sleep problems. There's a correlation between the introduction of handheld digital devices and a massive escalation in sleep deprivation and sleep problems in America and addiction to sleep aids, don't we? Okay, so now I'm not saying this is or this isn't in any of this, because nothing can be confirmed or denied, because obviously the government's lobbied to such a level by major corporations that you can't post warning labels like this. However, Berkeley is posting those warning labels, and they're being asked not to. However, Berkeley's bucking the trend and posting it anyway. Go out and look all this stuff up for yourself, okay? So when you buy a cell phone or a digital device in Berkeley, comes with a whole lot of warnings, okay? Now, so now we have a possibility of even being addicted to sleep aids, okay? So it's one thing they're showing is if you look at these devices 2 hours before bedtime, there's a possibility it's stopping the secretion of melatonin, which prepares us for sleep and rejuvenation of the body, hence leading to addiction to sleep aids, hence leading to another addiction, right? So now we could have a dually addicted person with a loaded weapon, expecting them to have our back in a group dynamic situation. But even more importantly, when you put a bunch of people together with these addictive properties and now they're starting to have anxiety disorders, what could happen? This is truly an unknown variable. But I believe it's going to add to the escalation in violence during SHTF or whatever situation we may experience, and that's why there's going to be so much violence. Part of the reason, in my opinion. It's going to be another variable added to the whole thing. So I just want you to be aware of this. It's important to me because I also believe the tethering to these devices is cutting the tether to our spiritual self. Okay, the more tethered to these devices, the less tethered to the true device, spirituality, that we need to be, right? And I think this has been taking place slowly, like turning up the water on a frog, right? You can boil a frog to death and it won't jump out if you turn it up slow enough. Well, I think the addictive process of digital addiction is the same thing. Sleep deprivation, dopamine addiction, and now people aren't even aware of it until it's too late. Take the device away and see what happens. You won't know how addicted people are until the device is removed for 72 hours. But again, they show emotional disturbance, anxiety, stress, and even potentially violence when they do this, okay? To tethered, what I call the tethered pecker, the person digitally addicted. Now, many of you may already be there. I don't know. But can you truly know anybody that you're planning on being in this group dynamic with during SHTF? Probably not, unless you live with them, right? How many of these people are you going to be surrounded by? What's the potential outcome? It is truly an unknown variable. That's my opinion. And I'm doing this video because I don't hear anybody talking about it. But we're going to plan on being potentially surrounded by these people having emotional, mental breakdowns as a result of digital addiction and sleep aid addiction. Okay? So I want you to think about that. We've got enough problems with group dynamics and SHTF stress. Now you're adding this unknown variable to it. That's why I have chosen to be a lone wolf bug out. 1, because I don't want to tell people how to live. 2, it takes a lot of training just to make it to where I'm going. And 3, I don't expect people to do what I do. Okay? Many people have asked if they could come with me, and I have to tell them no. I just simply observe them and say they won't make it. 1, they're out of shape. 2, they've got health problems. 3, they're digitally addicted, and there's no way in hell I want them around me when they go through their DTs. Certainly not with a loaded weapon, expecting them to have my back in a critical situation. Now, this is just my personal opinion. You can do what you want. You can evaluate yourself and your group, which is what I strongly suggest you do. And I strongly suggest that you suggest to everyone in your group to put the device down Friday after work, turn it off, take the battery out, put it down, put it away, have someone else take it, and see what happens for that 48 to 72 hours, what kind of adjustment they go through. Okay? That's the way I think you can test this. But we don't even know long term because nobody goes more than a day without one. Watch what happens when somebody's phone gets broken or whatever. They go into almost a panic to get that phone replaced almost immediately, don't they? Off of work, boom, gone. Or take a day off, you know what I mean? It's like panic mode, isn't it? So I want you to seriously think about this. This is no joke, right? There's something going on, and we can see in our society is not stable now. Can you imagine if these devices were shut down? And I believe if you just start doing the correlations, you may see what I see. But there's a reason my cell phone sits on the counter on silent most of the day. And then just like if you're 50, 60, or 70, we had phone call time, which was after supper. We didn't call each other willy-nilly expecting answers or whatnot. We weren't addicted to this socialization, right? We socialized when it was time for socialization. We connected to self and our spiritual nature most of the time. When it was time for that, we worked, we socialized, and we slept. We weren't digitally tethered, right? And that's not even socialization anyway. It's the illusion of socialization, isn't it? So think about it. What I've said here today is all speculative, and I have to say that because there's no true definitive study that I believe would be allowed out. So, take what you want, leave the rest. But I'm sure you all have seen on videos and so forth that this could possibly be real, couldn't it? We do know we have a massive sleep problem in America, don't we? So, and I'm sure it's happening in other places in the world as well. So I want you to all think about it this. What kind of group do you have? Who are these people? How are they training? Are they even training their mind as well as their spirit? Okay, the body's one thing. But when you're going to go through SHTF, your spirit is going to be massively important, isn't it? The spirit is what keeps us going. The spirit is what truly keeps us alive, right? Faith, right? So anyway, I just wanted to share all this. If you yourself are a tethered pecker, why don't you try disconnecting for an entire weekend? See if you can do it first. If you can't, then you know, right? I can go without this stuff and it doesn't even bother me. You know what I mean? But can you? Are you possibly already a tethered pecker because it slowly creeped in on you and you didn't even know how much you're relying on this device? You know what I mean? And this is just a caution to all preppers in group dynamics that are going to be relying on people when the time comes. Do you truly know what these people are going to be going through mentally and emotionally as a result of what could be coming, and you not knowing what they're doing in their personal lives, right? And how many addictions they may have already, right? Let alone this one, right? So I hope you're all doing well. Think about it. It's just Something I'd like to bring up that's important to me. I hope you're all doing well, and seriously think about this, and that's why I'm a lone wolf bug out. I'm going to give the society 30 days to reach equilibrium again, and then I'll begin to interact. But I think for 30 days there's going to be chaos, and a lot of it has to do with many addictive properties that people aren't even aware of. Jim out.